We came from having so many assumptions. I would have assumptions, business leaders would have assumptions on what things were, and now we start with the facts first. So we look at the data and say, okay, whatever I think, what does it actually look like? And having that as the foundational piece is shifting a lot of conversations.
Hi Lisa, thank you for spending some time with us, and look forward to hearing your expertise on some of your learnings with the Lego Group. First question, in collaboration with your senior HR leaders, can you explain how you leverage data to ensure alignment between HR initiatives and the overarching strategy for the Lego Group?
Yes, sure. So first of all, when we look at our strategy and we look at the pinnacle KPIs we have as a company, I would say we have people data deeply integrated into our business data here, because what we have is on a pinnacle KPI level is we have different KPIs, and one of them relates to the people part, and we measure that for the whole company, and we've chosen to look at our engagement as a way of getting a sense of the temperature in the organization. So all the way up to that level, we have people data embedded in how we look at the health of the organization. Then if we take it down a bit, what I do with my leadership teams is I look at the data we have on the people part as part of our ongoing frequency on how do we get a sense of how we're doing. And so of course, data is real time. Sometimes we can look at it retrospectively, but we also want to get a sense of, is there any actions, any adjustments we need to take for the future. So as an example right now, the frequency I have is I pull a lot of data with my team to look at it on a quarterly basis to get a sense of if there are any shifts. And it's everything from the basic data you have around turnover, you have about the recruitments, we look at the headcounts, we look at the different budgets that's related to our agenda, and we combine it to get a sense of how we're tracking and whether there are anything we need to relate to into that piece. And it serves a very good purpose for us because we have the opportunity to think about not only that HR is accountable for these data and for the outcomes of it, but it's a shared accountability with the business, similar to any of the business data we would use. So I'm also using it to make sure there's transparency and that the business leaders have an equal understanding of where we are and how we're tracking, so they have an opportunity as well to think about what's next.
Okay, now that's great to hear that it's embedded and you have that shared accountability. I mean, with that additional visibility, what are the prevailing questions that business leaders are directing towards the HR community, and how does your team address those common questions to ensure that HR practices are aligned to the business objectives that you're trying to achieve?
What I've experienced while we have been maturing our processes around this is actually that our business leaders were not really good at asking questions. Okay. And it goes the other way around. I was not even good at asking the questions. So really thinking about what is actually we're trying to solve for. So one thing is to have a lot of data available that we can look at. But the other thing is to really think about what are the hypotheses we have, or what are we trying to solve for in the future, instead of saying what data do we have. So trying to really turn it around, and we're moving the needle on that one. So we're starting to look more into what is it we want to achieve, and how might we use the data to give us some insights that helps us understand how far are we from this, or what might be some of the actions we could take in order to move faster or move closer to what we want to achieve. So it's very much maturing, both the data literacy, but actually also the storytelling and the questioning that we have around data, which I think is a shared journey we are on, both HR and the business together.
Okay, and that, again, great to hear that you're starting with the end outcome in mind and driving the function to become more strategic. As you become more proactive in that strategic support for the business, how do you use people data to enhance the quality of recommendations that you're delivering to the business, and then also ensure that they're linked to the business goals of the Lego Group as well? Yeah.
So this may sound very simple and simplistic, but I think we came from having so many assumptions. I would have assumptions, business leaders would have assumptions on what things were, and now we start with the facts first. So we look at the data and say, okay, whatever I think, what does it actually look like? And
Right.
having that as the foundational piece is shifting a lot of conversations. It's shifting conversations from why do people leave, why do people stay, and who should we promote, how do we think about our recruitment needs, where do we actually have the performance challenges we want to. So really looking at data in a much more broad way, but also becoming very basic in terms of actually utilizing the knowledge we have. And I don't think we need a lot of fancy metrics necessarily to do this, but we need easy access to make sure that we can combine those different data into something meaningful.
Okay. So focusing on the fundamentals has been key to success and driving that common language.
As a starting point, absolutely, and I wouldn't miss that point. And even I would love to share with you. We do a lot of fancy predictive analysis. I actually think getting the foundation in place has been absolutely key for us.
Okay, and for people that are starting the journey that you've been on, maybe a lot of their people data analysis is contained within HR, but they're thinking about democratizing it into the business to drive broader impact. What would be some of your best recommendations in terms of starting that journey successfully?
So when we started, we gave access to, of course, our HR colleagues have access to go in and take the data they need, but we've actually also given access to our senior leaders for their organizations. So they have an opportunity themselves to go in and get a sense of the data piece. And I think that that's actually driving some interesting and positive dynamic and change, because that means that they are also looking at it and they can go in and have hypotheses and start testing. Of course, they often work with their HR business partners, but again, it's not HR's mandate to just own all of this data. We have a key responsibility and accountability around it, but the more we can share the data with the relevant people for them to relate to it, the more they can also take part about thinking about and using it and getting real value out of the insights we have. So I actually think sharing that and making it more readily available has been key.
And just my last question, but to create that cross-functional harmony and that shared accountability, have there been any deliberate initiatives that the Lego Group have put in place to try and create that cohesion between those two different types of stakeholders that sit within the organization?
Yes, I think just being able to give access to data in itself has been a key piece. And then I think the journey we have been on as an HR organization has been ourselves to start relating more to data. And part of that has been really educating our HR colleagues about how to use this and how to bring it back into the business areas in different ways. And we started very basic with asking our HR partners to use the data, not with any particular end in mind, but just to use it, because we know that the only way to build a competence and a skill is really to practice, right?
Yeah.
So go in and do that. Of course, we had some front runners who got very advanced very fast, and we had others who needed to just see the value of it because they hadn't been as used to going in and utilizing data in the way we have the opportunity to do now. But really, that has been a key. And I think the excitement from our HR colleagues bringing that to the business areas and the opportunity to now be much more fact-based and much more data-driven is also helping the business leaders a lot, because it's a very different, credible platform to stand on when you have the opportunity to actually share concrete data on what's going on, rather than the assumptions that we all sit with once in a while.
That's awesome. Thank you very much for sharing your insights. And I hope lots of people can follow a similar journey. We look at the Lego Group as an advanced business in terms of driving that accountability and embedding that data ownership throughout the functions around people data. So for us, it's a shining example of what good looks like.
Thank you.
Thanks.